look and confidence with free
now as well. We're going to be reacting to that. And then, of course, some Kings news as the Kings continue to just be the unorthodox team with their decision-making so far in the UFL season. Rashawn Myers, how are you today, sir? Thank you so much for joining the show with us here today.
Roman, good afternoon, brother. Had a good weekend. Had a great time out at the Gallup Gala on Friday night. Celebrating with the good folks from Down Syndrome of Louisville. So it was a great event, as it always is. Kicks off the Derby year for us with Wake Up 502 and Main Event Sports. So feeling good on a Monday.
Glad to have you in. Glad you had fun. Shout out to the Derby Gallup Gala. Got to be a part of that last year. Wasn't able to get down there this year, but you do that year in and year out, and it's great work that they do down there to support and raise money for all of the different charities involved with helping the people out in Louisville. Rashawn, there's a couple of different routes we can go for today, but there's a couple of things I want to discuss as first. I did hit the Louisville City game this weekend. That was fun. I got to watch Louisville win over Jacksonville in a 95th minute winner in extra time there. That was awesome because Louisville needs to continue to stack wins. That's what's the priority in the beginning of the season. It can be tough. It can be easy to go through the motions when you have big weekday wins and you go to the weekend games and it's against opponents that you're expecting yourself to be better than and beat. It's easy to just kind of go out there and go with the flow, but got a very much needed decisive winning goal there in the 95th from Wilson as they get the job done. And I feel like I'm a bit of the good luck charm as I've been there twice now. Once for the cup set over the MLS side, Austin, and then now in this game, 95th minute winner. I mean, man, I don't know, Rashawn, I don't know. I feel like I need to continue to go to these home games and do my part in making sure Louisville City gets victories. But got to go do that over the weekend. That was fun. I also went to a garden show yesterday with the girlfriend in Paris Town Hall. They had this cool little situation where a bunch of vendors were there. I got a cactus, little tiny miniature baby cactus. It's going to grow to be super big, as big as I'll take care of it to be. And we're going to keep up with the progress on that, see how big it gets over time. So I'm a big cactus guy. My dad's had them throughout my childhood growing up, and even to this day, we've got a couple in my parents' house. So kind of carrying that tradition over on into my life as well now here, getting my first cactus. But fellas,
I didn't know you were a cactus man, Ron.
I'm a cactus guy, Rashawn. I like cacti. I like cacti. I like the process that they don't need to be watered very often. I like the science behind how they can hear the words and energy of the people in the house, and that can be a part of their growth cycle and process and whatnot. So I like that they can grow inside in somewhere like Louisville, Kentucky, even though that's not really where they generate. But anyway, that's just a little bit of the weekend. Rashawn, did you catch any of the NBA action this week? I know felt like it was spread across every single streaming platform possible, but a lot of good games, a few bad games as well in the game one, the round of game ones we had in the NBA playoffs. Cavs get the job done over the Raptors. James Harden looked good. Donovan Mitchell looked good at times. Looks like they're going to have the size and skill to get through this Raptor size with a fairly good ease, but still, we know this Raptor side is a pretty defensive side. They have beaten the Cavs a couple of times in the regular season. We know that they kept every game close, just about, even the ones they lost. How are you feeling about your Cavs, Rashawn?
I mean, the Cavs are definitely the wild card in the Western Conference because nobody really knows what this team. I mean, the Cavs, with their full roster, with having everybody available, with Jared Allen missing so many games, Evan Mobley missing so many games, you get James Harden right before the trade deadline. You've had Max Strus out for so many games. I think the Cavs may not have played 5 games with their whole complete roster. I don't think they have. I think it's they played only maybe 2 or 3 times with everybody available. Well, they had everybody available for the game one against the Raptors, and they looked pretty good. So I'm super interested to see what the Cavs look like, and especially with the fact that the Detroit Pistons are already up against it, losing to the Magic in game one. The Cavs have a shot to put something together, put a little run here together in the playoffs.
They do. I don't know what it's going to look like for the Pistons. They do go down 1-0 to the Magic, 0-1, however you want to put that, to the Magic. And that happens, obviously, in Detroit with them being the 1 seed. They shot their lowest 2-point field goal percentage of any game all season long, from what I remember hearing. I mean, they still won the free throw battle. I believe they won the rebound battle as well. It's not like they got punked by any means, but just a lot of decisions and a lot of the shot selection in the interior from the Pistons looked like they were not prepared for this game. Like they didn't have the proper sets and adjustments ready to go out there and create space for some of these guys. And then on the plays where it did work and they did look like the Pistons we know, they straight up missed and didn't get offensive rebounds at a very high rate. A team that we know is one of the best defensive and offensive rebounding teams in the league. Going to be very, very interesting to see how they look in game 2 going up against the Magic. But I mean, there was a couple of other aspects I thought that were interesting, Rashawn. The Cavs, James Harden looked unguardable out there. And if you get that kind of a foundation offensively, everything's going to fall from there. You know that you're going to get the better defender, typically the better wing defender put on James if they have the option to. And then I think that if Donovan Mitchell can just be that shooter, be that threat that can kind of attack those closeouts and get into his spots, you're going to see them excel in this series. I don't think that the offense for the Raptors is truly, you're relying on 3 guys to really go out there and create everything for you, and the system doesn't really allow for a lot of points from anybody else. You look at the bench, Max Strus, like you mentioned, coming off and being that scoring threat. Evan Mobley being able to be that scoring threat. Jared Allen playing above the rim. Dean Wade didn't get many looks, but the attention he brings as a shooter is just, they have a system that's working well in Cleveland. I don't see the offensive system prevailing over a 7-game stretch for the Raptors. And then I don't think defensively they're going to be good enough to stop what you have on the perimeter for the Cavs. I like the Cavs to get through this one with fairly good eve. Sorry about that. But the Lakers impressed me more than this, Rashawn, because KD was out, and I'm still went into this Game 1 matchup over the Rockets with this kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen out there. I don't know if LeBron's going to be able to sustain as the number 1 option, knowing he also has to be the creator for these other guys because of the other skill sets we have out there. I get, you see the statistical numbers. Luke Kennard, basically like one of the best shooters in the league this season. He did his thing. 5 for 5 from 3, 27 points. But LeBron James with that 10 assists in the first quarter, he established it right there what it was going to be from the jump. And picked his spots well offensively with his shot selection. And some of these guys just made extremely big shots. DeAndre Ayton taking advantage of what is a soft Alperen Sengun, who did have a 19, 8, and 6, Rashawn. But the Rockets with no Kevin Durant, who I do believe will be back for Game 2, just gave the Lakers a big opportunity here, getting that first game, extending this series longer than it's probably planned to be now with whoever the prediction was. It's probably going to be a little bit longer if they can go and get that. I mean, if they can go into Houston and get a win in Houston and get a 2-1 lead in this series at one point, or get it tied up at 4 after Game 4 at 2-2, now you have the opportunity to bring Austin Reeves and or Luka Doncic back at that point. One of them may be good to go or good enough to play, and you have the opportunity to go into the second round with a little bit more hope than you ever would have in this current situation. So very interesting that the Lakers are able to pull off the game win, technical upset. The line moved pretty significant, but they still were the underdog. What'd you think of the Lakers and Bron out there doing his thing? Bronny getting his first playoff minutes. Kid looks like a basketball player, at least at this point. I can say that. He's not a threat offensively against a team that can actually defend, but he's running the lanes, right? It's still cool to see a kid out there with his dad in a playoff game.
Yes, it's nice that Bronny has the option of playing for the Lakers rather than the local church league. I'll give him that. But, I mean, look, the Lakers did what they're supposed to do. For me, I'm so disappointed in the Rockets. Like, I understand that KD wasn't out there, but the fact that they looked that bad because Kevin Durant was not out there is absolutely ridiculous. I've been told by so many people that that this Rockets team is ready to be good and ready to make some noise, but I just don't believe in Alfred Sengun. I really don't. And they just aren't an impressive team. Like, if you need, 40-year-old Kevin Durant to be able to do anything, then you're really not that good. So, I mean, I give the Lakers credit. They got it done. LeBron turned back the hands of time. But to me, that's just more about being disappointed with the Rockets more than anything for me, Ron.
Yep, that's kind of how I feel about the Pistons as well. Like, the Pistons and Rockets, like, I don't know how much stock I can put into this Game 1 win. I do think LeBron has what it takes to go out there with the energy and the legs underneath them to win enough to be a part of wins in this series. But I just don't know if you're going to get enough from everybody else if you get more out of the Rockets. Plus, with KD planning to be back for Game 2, now you're looking at them like, wow, they were 5-point favorites to begin with. So interesting to see how that series is going to go, though. I do think you maybe extended it just one game potentially, got to that 6 or 7 mark with getting that first victory in Game 1 instead of what was projected the loss. We got some texting on the Gameday Men's Health text line at 502-414-1450. Gameday Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GamedayMensHealth.com, defining a new era in men's health. Texter says here, need Rashawn's new on Twitter. Also, Matt, sorry about your pup. Yes, we're very sorry. Matt did have some bad news that he had to give out there today. Sorry about the loss there, Matt, that you're going to – that's just nothing. I mean, there's nothing positive. There's nothing to even really like I can even do to help you or say there, but our thoughts and prayers are with you and your pups, and we're sorry that you're having to go through that. Time can help though, so just stay in there. You'll be, better in the long run, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate that.
Sorry about that. Was awkward.
You're good.
Didn't know the text said that there. Probably shouldn't have read that part of the text. With proper spelling. Rashawn, your new text, your new is, if I'm correct, RAASHAANMYERS, right?
Yes, I am still working with the Twitter folks. I am hopeful that my old Twitter handle will at some point be brought back to me, Roman. But yes, for right now, Rashawn Myers, RAASHAANMYERS, on Twitter is where you can find my stuff at right now. It's nice that Louisville stopped getting commitments, so I haven't missed many live opportunities, though, Roman. I really appreciate them waiting until I get my Twitter taken care of.
And that's what we're going to get into next here, Rashawn. What is up? I mean, with Louisville, I feel like this time last week, it's the most positive things being said about all of the different names, and throughout the week it's ever-changing stuff and status updates on specific players. Hard to confirm what's accurate, what's 100% accurate, I should say, because of how many different things you hear about one specific player and one specific topic, and how this guy's visit went at this school, and how this school's done spending, so what that means for this school, and if he can make it out of this visit here and get on campus, then Louisville's going to be able to get him in and all this kind of stuff. And we still haven't seen any other commitments in after the Carter Knox commitment. We do hear of Adrian Woolley signing back with the Cards is, I guess, the best way to put that. Staying home, I guess, is the more friendly way to say that there, Matt and Rashawn. How big is it to retain Adrian Woolley to the Cardinal side? Is it, Rashawn? I mean, I want to know your thoughts on this, because I think about what he is as a personality type, what he can be for you as a culture guy, what he is as a two-way guy in particular. I think you now have one of the best defensive scorers at the guard position in the ACC coming back to your team in Adrian Woolley, a point that I feel like isn't going to get talked about very much. A guy that can easily guard the 1 spot, the 2 spot, and the 3 spot, as long as it's not like a Carter Knox type of player at the 3 spot. And this was kind of my priority with everyone you had back. I feel like it was most people's priority with who had eligibility and who performed for you this season. If you could bring anybody back, everybody wanted Adrian Woolley back. But just how big is this for the Louisville basketball side?
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Woolley, outside of Michael Brown, he was the guy, the guy with the potential to return that you probably would have wanted the most. I mean, I know some people love the potential of, Kenai Roots, absolutely, but I think there's no doubt in terms of your young, up-and-coming talent, I think Adrian Woolley, without a doubt, had the most upside and the most potential for immediate impact. And I think for Louisville to be able to retain him, and from what it sounds like, they may have retained him and not had to go break the bank. Because that was the thing about it, Roman, was that we talked about the fact that if Louisville was going to keep Woolley, he was probably going to make too much to be able to hold on to him. So if he's coming back, that's telling me that Louisville more than likely got a deal, for being able to bring him back. So being able to bring back a talent like that, a young man that does have a lot of ability to be able to do that and do it within budget, I think is huge for Louisville.
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great, and you kind of need this in this day and age to make things easier for you going into the next season. Guys who you can rely on, who can play, that there's no question marks about what they mean to you for your roster At least not unless it's like a positive trajectory type of question mark. Like, yeah, we know he's a starter, but is there a potential for him to be an all-conference caliber kind of guy, right? I think that's the kind of question marks there are with Adrian Woolley. Like, is this guy going to be someone who can play at this level? You know he can. Is he going to be able to adjust to this culture? You don't have to worry about that. He was here last year and adjusted very well last year. So this is the priority each year in and out. The best players that with eligibility on your roster who are willing to play college basketball, bringing them back for your continuity. Outside of this, though, Rashawn, we don't hear about much. I don't know. I guess when you're dealing with the name like John Blackwell and you're talking about a level of money that you're willing to shell out for a name like that, you don't really have much of an option but to wait and see what you're going to do with him and what he's going to do, because if it's $3 million, $4 million being tied up into one player, that changes the decision-making you make after that player leaves, obviously, compared to if you have an extra $3 to $4 million, which I'm completely assuming. He could be $2 million, he could be $5 million. I have no idea what the typical asking price has been for the negotiations with John Blackwell. But I expect he's going to be over $2 million. I expect he's going to be below that $4 to $5 million. So you can't really bring anybody in until you know what you're doing with him, because if you are bringing him in and you just agree to give two other guys money, now you're not going to have enough money. So I expect them to not make any big purchases, signings, commitments until you know what happens with Blackwell. But with that being said, you still need those guys that fill out your roster as well. I mean, the guys that you're going to be trying to spend as little as much as you can, as little as possible on. I'm surprised we haven't seen more names like that, at least not one or two commitments in that area. What do you think, Rashawn?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things, like you said, Roman, is that, from the sounds of it, Fulgaris, the big forward from Iowa, sounds like it's just more of a fact that he's an international prospect, so it takes a little bit of time before he'll be announced, kind of like Zugas was last year. He was kind of late before we finally heard that he had signed with Louisville. And I think the same thing is happening with Alvaro Fulgaris. So with knowing that Louisville has four of their starting five done, and the fact that Blackwell was always thought to be a guy who was going to probably take his commitment out until early May for whatever reason, it doesn't surprise me that it's been quiet because of what you said. Blackwell's going to demand a pretty big chunk of change, and from the sounds of it, he's currently on a visit to Duke, and if he does not commit to Duke, then Louisville is going to be in a really good spot for a visit upcoming a little bit later midweek. So, I think that Louisville wants to hold off on making any more commitments or spending any more money until they figure out what Blackwell's going to do. So, no, I'm not surprised with it being quiet, and I think that there's still plenty of time to get the specialists that you need coming off the bench in the portal as this thing goes along. And, the Tuesday deadline, all that means, Roman, is that that's the last day that players can enter the portal. Players don't have to commit by Tuesday. They just have to be into the portal if they're not going to play for their and return for their current teams.
I still don't want to see us in a situation where you miss out on a high-level power forward because of how much time you took dealing with a Blackwell, and then potentially if you don't bring Blackwell in, you need a scorer and a power forward. Hopefully we're not in that kind of a spot, but we need to give some picks out before we get out of here. Matt, you got one for tonight. We've got 3 NBA games in action.
I'm taking, hold on, let me pull it up really quick. I'm taking Donovan Mitchell 3+3 tonight.
Love that. We're going to have the Knicks, Hawks. I'm going to go CJ McCollum over 17.5 points. Rashawn, you got a play for tonight?
I do not. I love the Cavs. Take the Cavs money line. They're going to get another win tonight.
Take the Cavs. They are going up 2-0. This is going to wrap us up here on the Running with Roman show. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned. We've got Mike Rutherford right after this from 2:30 to 5:30 right here on the Big X.